Erev Tov, everyone. The Midrash informs us that neither Miriam nor Aaron nor Moshe had a funeral. In the Parsha, it says, Thomas Shom Miriam, she died there in Kadesh, Atikaver Shom, and she was buried there. Who buried her? So the Medrash says that Moshe and Aaron and Aaron's two sons, Elazar, Tamar, were the ones that buried her. All the Meforshim ask, Aaron is a Kohen. So how, she was already a married woman. She had children of her own. How did it happen that they participated? So there are all sorts of Kabbalistic answers, spiritual answers. But many say that that is the implication of the Torah, is Vatikaver Shom, she was buried. No one knew about it even. It was like a meis mitzvah. And the meis mitzvah, if someone comes across a Jew that, God forbid, dies, and no one is taking care of it, so then even the Kohen Gadol is obligated to see to it that the body is buried. So Miriam had no funeral. Very strange thing. But then further on in the Parsha, you read that Aaron dies. And we all know the famous Medrash that Rashi quotes, that no one knew that Aaron died. Aaron went up with Moshe. And then the Ribono Shel Olam had to show that Aaron was lying in his coffin, in his bier, in order for the people to believe that Aaron died. But no one was present when Aaron died either, except Moshe. And Aaron, it says, so the Jewish people mourned him for 30 days, the entire Jewish people, because Aaron was the most beloved of all figures. Everyone felt the personal loss, and therefore everyone mourned him. But again, he has no funeral. There's a difference of opinion as to when the Yortzeit of Aaron is, whether it's the first day of Nisan or the 10th day. Same thing with Miriam, not clear. There are different streams as to when the Yortzeit is. And then finally, Moshe Rabbeinu had no funeral. Moshe Rabbeinu ascends to Har Nevo, and there he passes away. Vayikbor also bagai mul beis bohor. Kaviyachol the Rabboni Shalom buried him. And that's why it says, "V'lo yada ish mekom kvuraso ana yom hazeh." There is no marker. There is no monument or memorial to where Moshe is buried. So here you have the three major figures of the Jewish people who led them from Egypt. The Navi will say, "V'eshlach," and I sent to you Aaron and Moshe and Miriam, that they were the ones to redeem you. They were the leaders of the people. And in their schut, miracles happened. The Mon came because of Moshe. And the Anonei Kovod, the clouds that led the Jewish people through the desert and saved them from the climate and from the insects, etc., was because of Aaron. The water was, the bear was because of Miriam. So you have these three great people who are the pillars of our nation, and they just disappear on us. So what is the message? The Mefarshim deal with this, different theories. The main message that they all agree on is that we should not fall into what in our time is called the cult of the personality. We should not confuse human beings with heaven, no matter how great the human beings are. And when we ascribe powers or attitudes to human beings, we have to be very careful about it, because of the fact that that itself becomes a form of idolatry. That itself becomes a form of worshiping something other than God. And you say that human beings have all of these qualities to bring about miracles, so then it would become very easy for people to worship Moshe, or to worship Aaron, or to worship Miriam. And basically we see that most of the world worships people. Christianity worships a person. Islam worships a person. Secular all worship a person. The person may have different names. They may have different attributes. But the common denominator is that they're all human beings. And they are the form that, so to speak, undercuts the idea of monotheism and undercuts our worship of Hashem. It says in the Torah, Bikro Vayakodesh, by the sons of Aaron, not of the Avihu, who died. And Moshe said to Aaron, Hu asher diber Hashem, this is what God said, Bikro Vayakodesh. Only with those that are close to me can my holiness be revealed. If Moshe would have a funeral, he would have Hespedim. It would go on for hours. There would have been 3 million people at the funeral. his burial place would become a holy shrine. So we would, God forbid, end up being the religion of Moshe. We would be the Mosaic faith that Moshe warned us against. So he said, Bikrovai, with those who are most close and holy to me, I will show you the Kedushas Hashem, that we will not leave over the possibility that the Jewish people would worship a human being, no matter how holy, great. There's a line between the creator and the created, and that line is never to be violated. That explains, not explains, but it certainly illuminates why throughout the entire period of Bayis Rishon, Avodah Zarah was rampant. Because people couldn't deal with it. They had to have something tangible. And kings and dictators made themselves the gods. That's why many of the kings of Judah and all of the kings of the northern tribes, the Gemara, the Tanakh describes them as Ovdei Avodah Zarah, that they worship pagan gods. Now, why would Yerovam ben Nevat worship a pagan god? Yerovam ben Nevat, the Gemara says, is one of the greatest Talmidei Chachamim of the ages. The Navi installed him to be the king. Why would he do that? The answer is because he himself saw himself for more than what he was. That ego drove him that it became the religion of Yerovam ben Nevat. When it becomes a personal religion that somehow pays homage to a human being. So in our time, we have seen it tragically over and over again. 60 million Germans, Hitler was the god. 150 million Russians, Stalin was the god. Chairman Mao. It's all current events. It's all how people look at things. And the Torah wanted desperately to save us from those errors, because that always leads to tragedy, always leads to all sorts of tyrannies. So therefore, the Medrash points out to us that the three greatest people that the Jewish people possessed at our founding as a nation, after the Yavos and the Amos, and Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, so couldn't make a fuss about it. They had to let it go, because then they would be seen in proper perspective. There would not be a danger of becoming the religion of Miriam, which a third of the world worships a woman. It would not be the religion of Aaron. It would not be the religion of Moshe. That's part of the idea that Hashem Echad, the uniqueness of Hashem, so that human beings cannot approach it and they're not in any way comparable to it. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Rotza Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Zakas Israel L'Picha Chibur Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar Adonai Chavetz Aman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.